What hardware do you use? Are there any software go-tos, whether it's plugins or synthesizers that you use?
I've always had a couple of synths. So one of my favorite synths is this kind of little known crappy plastic Korg box called the Korg X50, which is kind of a newer version of the classic M1, which is their, rompler or whatever. And it's got, strings and like bad piano samples, and it's mostly kind of like RAM memory samples that are all strung together to kind of try to mimic real sounds. The X50 actually has the Korg Triton brain, and the Triton actually sounded pretty good for its time. Um, but they were able to actually put that in a cheaper kind of plasticky, more gig-friendly box. They also did an EDM version called the Korg Micro X, not to be confused with the Micro Korg, which is not the same thing. So I've seen, and I mean, it's really popular. It's that little kind of beigey kind of guy that has the vocoder on it. The Korg Micro X and the X50 are kind of the same thing. It's really just the Korg Triton brain in a smaller box, and it's just full of some cheesy sounds that just seem to work great. And it's a preset machine. I mean, it's just got, great pads, and um, I mean, you can edit them, but the menu diving is a living hell. So literally, just kind of scroll through, and that's really where Moonrunner started. Was just surfing preset patches on my X50, and then I did later get a Micro X, which I actually brought up to the lake this week to record. And from there, I started getting a whole bunch of stuff. I've now got a Roland System-8, which is kind of my desert island synthesizer, and there's a lot of kind of like analog enthusiasts that are like, I don't know, man, the Juno doesn't sound like a Juno. Well, I'm telling you, man, I have a Juno and I've got pretty good ears and I can't tell the difference. So, and I always ask that. This is like the golden ear thing, right? Where you've got these like audiophiles who are like, I don't know, man, my ears are so refined, I can hear the difference. You ask them if you go, okay, well, I'll play you, some System 8 and I'll play you some Juno, but it's going to be a blind test. Now, if you get it right, I'll give you 5 grand. But if you get it wrong, I get your house. No one will take that bet. And that shows you that golden ears are bogus, man. And I don't think anyone would take that bet anyway because it's pretty greasy. But yeah, as soon as you start testing people and putting up blind tests and stuff, they all disappear really quick, right? So I don't know. The System 8 sounds great. I've got a Prophet Rev 2. The Prophet Rev 2 is there was a brass patch that I think actually came with the thing that ended up being the brass arpeggio from Streets. And really all it is that brass patch, and I've just panned it more in the stereo field. So each voice kind of pans left and right more so than it did when I just kind of opened the preset. And I mean, I'm that the song started with that patch, and I just built it from there, and it really became something iconic and something that I haven't actually been able to repeat again since. And we've tried a couple times to do kind of like a Streets-esque track, but sometimes you just can't bottle magic, and reuse it. But I've also got a real Juno 106 with it, which is a beautiful, simple machine, fraught with your typical analog problems that are never ending. I've got a Roland JX3P, which is kind of in the same vein as the 106 with just an extra voice and, or I should say, an extra oscillator and more menu diving hell with the digital kind of controls on the front. I've actually got it modded so that I can control it with a Novation knob thingy, which is kind of nice. It's got the Kiwi mod or something. I didn't put that in, but I got it with it, and it makes a huge difference being able to actually control, filter cutoffs and all that sort of stuff. I've got an Arturia Mini Brute, which I barely use. I've got a Roland System 1. I love all of the the Roland Cloud kind of plug out synths. I think they're absolutely amazing. And then I've got a Behringer Boog, like the knockoff Model D, which again I use a little bit, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. It always goes out of tune, kind of I guess like the original and everything. Sounds great, but um, I primarily use the System 8, the Rev 2, and the Juno and the JX3P. And then I've got, of course, the 2 Korg units. I'm trying to think. I feel like I'm leaving something out. Yeah, I think that's it. I've got an amazing Panorama P4 for my MIDI controller, which is it works really well and is deeply integrated with Bitwig, which is the DAW that I use. And Bitwig was essentially a bunch of ex-Ableton employees. This is my understanding. I don't know if it's true, but I think they were a bunch of ex-Ableton employees that decided that they'd had enough out in Germany, and they started their own company. So you'll see a lot of similar elements in Bitwig. They've also taken some great little nuances from from FL Studio and Cubase and Pro Tools, like kind of all the major DAWs, and they've really integrated it with something that they've built on their own. And yeah, Bitwig is incredible. It's really easy on CPU. So Bitwig is, I suppose, kind of one of my instruments. And I mean, I got into it when it wasn't really a professional DAW, but I mean, it's just got comping, and they've really upped their feature game. And yeah, Bitwig, man, I'm telling you, it's the one. I'm sold. I'm an old Cubase guy, so Cubase started to get really cluttered, and it started to kind of make me sad. And Bitwig now makes me happy. So and other than that, I've got a ton of Outboard. Oh, I have an Oberheim Matrix 1000 as well from 1987, which is a rack-mounted synth.
Wow.
And really, I use that as a kind of a preset machine too. It's got like the 1000 is the 1000 presets that it has in it. So it's a 6-voice analog synth that also sounds great. So like I think I've got, I don't know, 6 or 7 kind of outboard synths that I primarily use for most of the Moonrunner stuff, and I don't need much else. I'm a huge fan of Omnisphere and Trillion and Keyscape, and all the Spectrasonic stuff. I mean, a kid could literally just have a laptop and Omnisphere and make a record. I mean, really, that's all you need. But and having the outboard stuff is a real luxury, but I don't think it's necessarily critical.